Hi everyone, it's Gwen from Hummingbird Tarot. Welcome to my channel. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified each week when I upload a new video. Today I want to answer the question, what is tarot? I've been asked this question a lot over my years of reading. So I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about what it is and how it's used. Traditionally, they have 78 cards in the deck. And that would include 4 different suits, like you would find in a regular deck of playing cards. I have a bicycle set here. So the standard 4 suits that they have are going to be cups, swords, wands, pentacles. And I'm looking at a standard Rider-Waite Smith deck, and I am filming a separate video that explains what Rider-Waite Smith is. It is the most widely used version of tarot. In addition to the 4 different suits, and those 4 suits make up 56 of the 78 cards in a tarot deck, and that's called the Minor Arcana. And then there's an additional 22 cards on top of that that's called the Major Arcana. And let me talk about the difference between the 2 of those at first. The Minor Arcana, they have something similar to what you would find in a traditional playing card set, and they start with ace and they go all the way up to king. There is actually 1 extra card in that grouping. So they have ace through 10, like your standard deck, but then they have 4 additional cards after that. And in a standard deck, it would be a page, a knight, a queen, and a king. So those last 4 cards are called court cards. And the ace is not a part of that court. You've got ace through 10 plus the page through the king, and so that makes 14 cards, and each of the 4 suits has that many cards. On top of it, you also have, and the cards are numbered for each of the suits typically. Let me show you an example. This is from the Universal Waite Tarot deck. Here's what the back of these cards looks like. And here you would find the page, the knight, the queen, and the king. And so the name of them is at the bottom of a typical deck, a standard Rider-Waite Smith deck. The suits, so this would be the Ace of Swords. It does have the writing at the bottom like the court cards. And then it just has a number at the top, and you would have to look and see what they're holding or what else is in the deck that's representing the suit to know which suit this is from. So this is from the swords, and you can see, and I've got cards all the way up to number 10 for the swords, and then the court cards for the swords. Here's a representation of cups, what the cups might look like, wands, and the pentacles, or the coins, they're sometimes called too. And then they have something that I was talking about a few seconds ago, is the Major Arcana, and that starts with the Fool. And these cards tend to be, when they show up in a reading, they're heavier weighted, so they're more, I would say, more important sometimes in the reading. It starts with the Fool, and then the next card is the Magician, and this goes all the way up to card 22, which is the World. So those are the Major Arcana, and that's how a typical Rider-Waite Smith tarot deck is laid out. Now there are, I would say, more than one system. Rider-Waite Smith is one of the systems. There are some other ones. I'd say the word tarot it kind of reminds me of the word pecan, because it can be pronounced a bunch of different ways, and they're all correct. It just depends how you were taught to say the word growing up, what part of the world you're from. But I've heard it called tarot. There's lots of different pronunciations, and they're all correct. Normally what happens is the person that's doing the reading would shuffle the cards and then pull cards and would interpret those cards to give some kind of a reading. So it is a form of divination, and depending on the reader, these can be used to answer a question that the person who's getting the reading is asking. The correct terminology for that person who's getting the reading is, they're called a querent. So the querent would ask their question, or they just want a general reading about, tell me what I need to know, or there's a specific thing that they're asking about, and they could be asking the reader to answer those questions for them. Sometimes people use these as fortune telling to tell the future. And then there's a lot of people who just read just for themselves, and they use the tarot cards to get in touch with their intuition and maybe get some clarity on something that they need a little bit of extra help with. And that's what tarot cards are. Thanks for stopping by. If you have any burning questions about tarot, feel free to comment below, and I will use your questions to make a future video.